Who are you? And where are you going? What do you want? For the next 24 minutes, we're going to design and attain your ideal life. On the Way to Wow Show. Together, we'll find the ideal path to get you back on the track to success and happiness. On the Way to Wow Show with your host, Kevin Bemmel.
Hola. Hello and welcome from eccentric Los Angeles. You know, it used to be that we knew who we were. You were going to do whatever your father did or whatever your mother did. Society said what our lives were going to be like. But that's not the case anymore. Each of us gets to carve his own identity. So we have a couple of guests on the Way to Wow show today who are going to help you do just that. Start answering the question, who am I? Our guest bartender today is Deanne Quinones. And Deanne is third-generation Mexican-American, born in Ohio, right? And an Army veteran as well. That's a pretty unique career. She was an 88 Hotel, did you say?
88 Hotel, cargo specialist.
Cargo specialist, right? So if you need anything moved around, do not call her anymore because she's been a bartender for the last 15 years, right?
That's
and
right.
What are you going to mix up for us today?
So today I'm going to make you guys a Negroni, but it's a variation on a classic Negroni, which typically has gin. But today we're going to do it with mezcal. So this is very, very popular. So we're going to mix a little Negroni up for you.
Well, I've been getting into mezcal recently, so this should be interesting. Yeah,
awesome.
Okay.
Great.
Well, let's get at it, huh?
Okay. We'll start, we're going to do with Brujo number 2. So Brujo is a mezcal that comes from Oaxaca. And we have 6 lines, or six numbers that we use. Number 2 especially goes really great into Negronis.
Okay.
This is because it has a little bit more complexity. Sort of if you think about the way that gin works, has a lot of botanicals.
Right.
So we're going to make 2 of these. So we'll do 2 ounces.
Okay.
Of the mezcal. It's very simple to put together. And then 2 ounces of the Campari and 2 ounces of the sweet vermouth.
Campari is a little bit bitter, right?
Yeah, so Campari is a bitter liqueur, very traditional Italian, as well as the Negroni is a classic traditional cocktail.
Uh-huh.
Italian.
So it should be an interesting, because typically mezcal seems to me to be a little bit smoky, no?
Yeah, so the reason why mezcal is smoky is because that's part of its production process, which makes it, differentiates it from tequila. Tequila doesn't go through smoking, but mezcal does.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't make it, it doesn't define mezcal. It's always going to come in at a different place. So sometimes you'll find a mezcal that's very smoky, or sometimes you'll find a mezcal that's light on the smoke.
Oh,
and that
okay.
goes down to the way that the producer wants to show the spirit.
Okay.
So equal parts, if you're doing this one at a time, it's 1 ounce of each. So whatever spirit you're using, here we're using mezcal, 1 ounce of Campari, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. We'll add some ice to the drink. So it's very simple. You don't have to shake it or anything. You're just going to stir it.
Wonderful.
Stir it down. And again, this is a great aperitivo. It's nice even after dinner for digestivo. Just going to mix that up. Add a little more ice.
Oh, what kind of glasses do you want for this?
A little rocks glass, I think, if you have.
Rocks
Yeah.
glass. Okay. Like an old-fashioned glass?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. So yeah, you just want to incorporate the ingredients together and get them nice and chilled with the ice. So take your spoon. That's perfect.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, great.
I'll put this other one here for you.
And then, well, what we'll do is just drop an extra ice cube in each of these. And then voila, just pour it out.
Yeah, it's beautiful color too.
Yeah,
huh?
and the mezcal is going to give this like rich smokiness to it, and it's going to be lengthy on the palate, and it's just beautiful, beautiful cocktail.
Well, you're making these for a rabbi and a priest, so you're getting yourself in good with the Lord. I'm telling you right now.
This
Right?
is great.
That can't be bad.
That's great. Ben, my work week is done. Perfect.
Excellent.
Then you're just going to spritz a little orange zest on top, and you are set.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Deanne made these for us.
Thank you.
This is a Negroni with mezcal. So why don't we give that let's give this a taste, huh?
Yes. To your health.
A santé, no?
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Very nice. Really different. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Layers of flavor.
Yeah, you definitely pick up the mezcal, the notes, the smokiness kind of rolls in. It's just quite nice.
Italo Mexicano.
Por supuesto.
Por supuesto.
Well, so for those of you who are wondering what a Christologist and a pneumatologist is, right? Did I get it right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Well, we haven't had quite that much Negroni yet. I have Father Guillermo Garcia here. A Christologist is someone who studies Christ, no?
From Jesus to Christ. Yes.
From Jesus to Christ. And a pneumatologist is someone who studies the Holy Spirit. So, I made some notes about your background because it is so extensive. But I mean, you have a more fascinating background than most military chaplains, and we travel all over the world. So, first of all, Guillermo spent 23 years as a member of the General Council in Belgium, 6 as the Order's General Superior. Okay? He spent a great deal of time both in Europe and in Africa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo and in Gabon, and he taught in the Congo for 20 years, right?
Well, I taught 1 year, and then I kept going back regularly for workshops.
Oh, okay. After that, he transferred here to Los Angeles to the archdiocese here, and he was coordinator for Hispanic pastoral ministry programs at Mount St. Mary's at the time college. And you also work with disenfranchised Catholics, like Latino gay Catholics, etc.?
Yes, I try at least to, well, in my role as a university professor, I meet many people, and there are many people who are at least crying out for recognition in the church, and not just that, but they want to discuss the position that they might have. A lot of also women who have left the church because it is very much a patriarchal structure at the moment. So, you know, I try to invite everyone I can into the fold and into just talking about it, because I think discussion is the only way to get going.
So my first question really has to do with, you talk to some people and they'll tell you, well, God and religion, they're just the same thing. And other people will say, well, no, there's God, and then there's religion, and they're not the same thing. So how do you come down on that issue?
Well, I would say this much: there is God, thank God. And I think one of the things is that people often confuse the tools that God has given us to maintain our faith in God, our closeness to God, with God Himself. So, in other words, I think religion is this. It is that bag of tools that we have because of our culture, because of our upbringing, because of who we are, that helps us to perhaps get nearer to God, get nearer to the ineffable. One of the two things, at least for Roman Catholics, and I think for all Christians and Jews, I think one of the first things is to love your God with all your heart, your mind, and your soul. It's the heart of Judaism, it's the heart of Islam, it's the heart of Christianity. And the next that is there is to love your neighbor as yourself, and to love your neighbor with the same strength that you love your God. And that is not always easy, but there should be a community that surrounds the person who is trying to practice that, to live that, to encourage that. And, sometimes there are people who just say to you, well, I can love God with all my heart, but this guy down the road who's hurt me so many times, I'd like to slap him in the face. And I say, wouldn't that be nice? I feel exactly the same way you do. And yet, I have to live by this thing that says, love your enemies. Do good to those who, hurt you.
Right.
The thing is, we get mixed up on what we choose to pick from there. And, excuse my saying, so we decide to throw it at people. And I know that many of us, because we came up in a patriarchal situation where our fathers, especially the Latinos, where our fathers were so, at times, macho. And because they had to be macho, they could not hug their sons or kiss their sons. They could not show that they favored in any way their sons. They could love their daughters, but they also would put them behind bars to protect their virginity. But at a certain age, the boys could go out and do whatever they wanted to, but shame their fathers. The moment you brought shame to the family, that was the moment you were out. And I think sometimes that's why people are disenfranchised. So I become very, very eloquent about that at Mass and at other places where I preach, because I feel that we need to love, and we need to be loved too. And if you don't feel loved by God, if you don't have a relationship in some way or another with, the God who is holy, and you cannot feel that you are moving towards that holiness, then you're not getting the best of your faith. And I think that applies for all faiths.
So you mentioned two things that I want to highlight. First is that even as a member of the clergy, you struggle, and I do too. Right? People think, well, you're a rabbi, so you got all this down. It's like, no, not really. Mm-hmm. I think it's important for people to understand that no matter where you're at in your journey and your relationship to God, it's always challenging.
Teaching the faith is not easy, and some people. There are wide differences in what people think is the true faith and how it should be placed, as you well know. But there is room for everyone if people talk. And one of the problems we have now, at least in the Roman Catholic Church, is that people have stopped talking to each other. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the role of religion, to support faith, to support love, to support caring for each other. And, I would love to see that in every single religion. Anyway, that's my thought.
Yeah. And I got the high sign, but that's a great note to end on, because I think that there's a universality to that idea. I think you could say the same thing in synagogues and probably mosques throughout the world, right? And among and within or between other various denominations as well. Mm-hmm. Well, so I'm so sorry. I told you when we set up the interview we could probably talk for an entire day, and it ended very quickly. But thank you so much for coming and sharing your thoughts with us here on
pleasure.
Wow.
Thank you so much also for having me.
Welcome. In the dictionary under WizKid, you'll find a picture of my next guest. Rishi Sharma started as a high school student at Agoura High School in California, recording the stories of World War II combat vets. And now, 4 years later, he's interviewed over 1,100 World War II combat vets. This is a young man who has found his passion in life, and we're fortunate to have him on the Way to Wow today. Rishi, how are you doing?
Great. I hope you guys are well. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for making time. I think you've got another interview today, don't you?
Well, I'm at a retirement home right now interviewing a 98-year-old war hero who was wounded twice. He was an officer in the 442, which was the Japanese-American outfit. That was actually the most decorated battalion of their size. But he was a white officer, and so he's just some amazing stories of a group of individuals who faced discrimination at home and went to fight a war to prove that they are Americans and that they bleed red, white, and blue.
Fantastic. So how did you come to make this your life's work? What was the spark? And how have you kept the spark going all these years?
Yeah, I mean, everyone always expects there to be a story of like when I was in middle school, I got on a bus and I didn't have fare, and I sat next to this older man and he had a World War II hat and he paid my fare, and I asked him what's that on his hat, and we became best friends. But no, there's no story. I just have always been interested in the war. Ever since I was a little kid, I distinctly remember, watching Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan, trying to read as many books on the war as I could find. There's something very unique about the generation that fought the Second World War, mainly in the fact that every day of their lives has been about helping those around them, whether it's in the Great Depression and they quit school to help put food on the table for their families, or by changing their birth certificates or lying about their age just to get into the service after Pearl Harbor was attacked, or just getting drafted and going overseas and being willing to not run away to another country and instead fight for their country. And World War II was the worst war in the history of humanity. Over 70 million dead, 420,000 Americans were killed. They come home and they didn't want a parade or celebrations. All they wanted was their old jobs back and to raise a family. And
tell us about a particularly meaningful moment in over 1,100 interviews. I can imagine there's probably been quite a few, but is there one that really stands out for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's like comparing apples and oranges. You can't. I mean, they're all unique and different. I already have the requirement that the veterans who I focus on are combat veterans, so they all served in combat and risked their life, and so there's not really. I mean, they're just different. There's none that particularly are better than others, but I have interviewed veterans. I interviewed a veteran who was running across the field and saw his twin brother get machine gunned and killed right next to him. I interviewed a Medal of Honor recipient in Oregon who landed on a grenade to save 4 men around him, and he survived miraculously. And I mean, they're all the same breed, though. I mean, I really would like to make that point that these men, there's just, whether it's the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, I've been fortunate enough to travel, and I continue to travel to all these different allied countries. And I was just amazed to learn that all these men, regardless of country or state, background, religion, economic status, they all have the same creed, that they want to make the world a better place, and that they were willing to risk their life and lives, and many of them who did sacrifice their lives so that people like us would not have to. And so, I mean, all these are, it would be cool if that was a unique story, but the fact is it's not. All these men sacrifice and give back in so many different ways that it's not even funny. To compare the World War II generation with my generation, you can't even compare them, just the status that they're on and the things that they do, and not for recognition and not for any other reason than because it is the right thing to do. That's just the way they were brought up. That's just their moral compass is it's just so straight and narrow. It's really a testament to who they are and who we can become, because we've fallen short of the sacrifices that have been made for our way of life in the country currently. And that really is a standard that we ought to live up to in every walk of life. Eleanor Roosevelt had a very beautiful quote during the war that somewhere, somehow, a man died for me today. Oh, and I forgot the quote. It's a beautiful quote. Somewhere, somehow. Oh.
I think we understand the sentiment. Yeah, absolutely. So you founded the Heroes of Second World War is your organization, and your goal is, I believe, to interview one combat vet a day until there's no more World War II combat vets left alive. So you must at this point have thousands upon thousands of hours of video of these veterans. What are your plans for that? What are you going to do with that?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, my focus is really just to meet and interview as many World War II combat veterans as possible. I created Heroes of the Second World War. It's a nonprofit, to help fund my mission. We're looking for other volunteers to get involved and do interviews in their areas. We're always looking for volunteers. I would eventually like to be able to make a documentary series. I've spoken to a few production companies about that, but haven't really gotten anywhere. I would really like to explore the possibility of what it'd be like to have a camera crew follow me and show what it's like through a 22-year-old perspective, to be able to hang out and not only meet but enjoy each other's companies of people who are 70, 80 years older and, act as if you were school buddies. And so, I mean, I would like to create that TV series. I think that would be the goal, but also just having an archive of all this footage so that 200 years from now, the great-great-great-great-grandkids of these veterans won't just know their great-great-great-grandfather's name, but they'll get to know what kind of man he was, the way he spoke, the way he acted, the way he told his stories, his characteristics, his jokes, his emotions. I mean, we have this opportunity. It's not just another, I can't make it more clear that the things that I am doing, I'm not special in any way, because everyone has a phone that has a camera on it. Everyone can document a piece of history if they just took the time to go out and do it. I mean, whether it's visiting their grandparents or the neighbor that's a World War II veteran or at a retirement home.
Well, Rishi, I just got the high sign from the director. Unfortunately, we're out of time because I think we could talk for a lot longer. And you have tremendous passion, and I respect that a lot. I really appreciate you coming and talking to us here on The Way to WOW, and I wish you all the best of luck. Tell us just real quickly, tell us the name of your organization again, so if people want to get more information, they can go online and search it up.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If anyone knows any World War II combat veterans, or if they want to support what we're doing, it's Heroes of the Second World War. It's all spelled out, HEROES of the Second, SECOND, worldwar.org. Okay.
Rishi, thank you so much for being with us. Good luck with your project.
Great. Would you like to say hi, Mr. Gustafson? This is the World War II hero I'm meeting today.
Hi.
Hello, sir. It's nice to meet you.
They just wanted to say hi.
So, through the magic of the internet, we were able to look up that quote of Eleanor Roosevelt, yeah. And this is it. Dear Lord, lest I continue my complacent way, help me to remember that somewhere, somehow out there, a man died for me today. As long as there be war, I then must ask and answer, am I worth dying for? I think that's the question that Rishi is helping us to answer, isn't it? That's our show for this week. Stay tuned next week when my guest will be Dr. Barry Schwartz, the author of The Paradox of Choice, who's going to explain to us why, with all this expanding number of options we have in life today, we don't seem to be getting any happier. Courage at all times, my friends. Marie, you're still my belle.